Hello.
Hello. Hello.
We're just
Curt and Jen in the morning. Here is our pod/videocast. Thank you, as always, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And if you feel like you're up to it, how about a like or a follow or a subscribe or something like that?
Yeah, how
Not so
about
much to ask.
no? I mean,
No,
yeah, no, it's not too much to ask, is it? Oh,
I don't think so.
even give us a review. I mean, you can
We,
do that too.
we appreciate it.
All right, we're just gonna put this out there because we are not ones to talk about politics. We've talked about the election itself and encouraging people to vote. We are
Hmm.
your happy place. We are your place where you might be able to learn a little fun something. But we're gonna announce some results.
Yeah. That, well, maybe you are aware that there was a big election last night. And America, yep, they made their choice. And now we know that the 47th president of the United States of America is former and soon to be again President Donald Trump. Then January, of course, is when that will start. Also, last night with all the voting, the Republicans control the Senate now. And there is still some undecided races, but it's looking like they also may control the House. We'll see about that.
Yeah. And
Okay.
just locally in the PNW in this Washington state,
Right.
Bob Ferguson, Democrat Bob Ferguson won the gubernatorial race.
Okay.
Although his opponent has not Reichert has not yet conceded.
Hey.
They're calling the race. So here's the thing. First of all, I hope be proud of yourself for voting, because I know that everybody listening to this podcast, watching this podcast voted, because that's
Yep.
just what we do. And if it didn't turn out the way that you were hoping and that you were passionate about hoping it would, we still have to keep up the fight. We
Mm-hmm.
still we're responsible for making the world a better place, one person at a time, each individual. So continue to spread the kindness, create and find joy, because it is out there despite it might feeling heavy today.
Mm-hmm.
Stay united, stay together. That's all I can say. Like, it is what it is, right? And so
Yeah.
now we onward and upward, and
Things in general, things have just gotten kind of nasty. And so yeah, if working together, I think, and uniting together, we can leave some of that behind. And I guess agree to disagree is what we need to get back to, right?
I mean, yeah, and I hope that we can do it respectfully um
All the things.
and be oh yeah, all the things. I guess that's how we should leave it, Curt, right? All the things. And now on to all the things that are more lighthearted. We're gonna have some
Yes.
fun together. And
Here we
here we
go.
go.
How about on the show today? Some fun things like guess what? Our the way we hold hands is changing.
What?
The way we hold hands is changing.
Okay.
Well, that wasn't just that wasn't a literal what. We have today ways that you can earn your coworkers' respect. So there's some useful stuff you can use at work.
What about
Also,
why you should listen to live music?
exactly, over pre-recorded music is in there for today as well. We've got a fun show coming up here to tell you about that both Jen and I are going to go see. And I just put this in here. The tagline is maybe the Goonies are not good enough.
I saw that. I don't even know what that means, but I can't wait to find out.
Did you like the Goonies movie?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a hot second since I've seen it, so I couldn't
Right.
tell you a whole lot about what it was about, but yeah.
Well, it's about the Goonies.
Right.
Sorry,
Well,
that was bad.
let's start with this. Appropriately,
Yeah.
it's National Stress Awareness Day and National Nacho Day.
Well, so that's actually, if you're stressed, you can also have nachos in the same day. That's actually
I think that's a good idea, and I
ties in
love
very
me some
well.
nachos.
Well, and also as such, I didn't know about this, but because it is National Stress Awareness Day, and apparently the official Sesame Street social media, they're trending after the characters started posting encouraging messages for kids and adults to kind of chill and not stress so much this week. And we have this is like a who's who of huge Sesame Street, the biggies on Sesame Street, the
This is
stars
making
like
me want to
Elmo.
look this up. I want to look this up on social now, Curt.
Elmo says, of course, Elmo loves you, and Elmo will remind you every day if you need him to. That's nice,
Yeah.
right? Bert of Ernie and Bert fame, or is it Bert and Ernie? What would you say, Bert and Ernie?
Bert,
Uh,
Bert and Ernie.
Bert says, if you're ever stressed, remember that your friends are here to comfort you. And then Ernie came back with, we'll be here to make you smile as well.
Oh, I love that. The Cookie Monster wrote, it's okay to take a break today.
It's
It's even
even
better
better.
if it includes cookies.
It's even better. Big
Cookie,
Bird said,
cookie,
be
cookie.
kind, be you, be a good friend. Thank you, Big Bird. And how about Mr. Snuffleupagus? What did he say? Oh, Bird.
Whenever I feel overwhelmed, my mommy tells me to go outside, take a deep breath, and enjoy a moment in nature. That's good advice. It's amazing what nature can do for your spirit and your heart and your soul.
And what an amazing thing that we're sitting here looking at these this advice from Sesame Street characters going, I should do that.
Right?
That's fantastic. So there you go. The big thing is Sesame Street account says, remember, you are not alone if you're stressed. They said one thing they suggested was stop scrolling, take a deep breath, and use the next few minutes to escape to a place where the air is sweet.
Probably
Can you tell me
outside.
how to get to Sesame Street?
Yes.
I love that story. Okay.
I actually did see this story, Curt. The preferred method of holding hands with your loved one is changing because there's like, what are the different ways? There's the intertwining your fingers, I guess, and then like the cup, I guess, the cup holding.
Well, I guess we're going to find out, right?
Okay, tell me.
The preferred way of holding hands with someone. There was a poll done, so we know that this is official, right?
Yes, yes,
Your
we
preferred
do.
way of holding hands. And the poll said 30% of people said they preferred holding hands with interlocked fingers.
Okay.
The interlocked fingers way. 2 in 10 people said they'd rather do it with cupped hands. There's the cupped hands, right?
Yeah.
And 40% say they're fine with both equally.
How do you and Dana typically hold hands?
I would say interlocked fingers, I think. Yeah.
Pat and I will switch, like it just depends. I mean, sometimes interlocked fingers are comfortable, but sometimes like I don't know, this is going to sound crazy, but if like your hands are swollen or like I forget what hand, like I don't even know, like the fingers don't mesh as well.
Right. Well, as I
They're
recall,
bigger
you
or
have very
something.
small hands, and he probably has big, I'm a manly man, working man hands, and maybe they don't.
Yeah, so sometimes it's just like I love interlocked or
Mm-hmm.
whatever that's called, but sometimes a cup and sometimes I don't know, half and like almost like a half and half. I don't know. I just love, you know what? If you're having to have this conversation, yay, because it means you're holding hands. And I think that's a really great thing.
That's an absolutely great thing, holding hands. All right, Jen Pirak.
Yes.
We are currently not in an office.
Well, we're not in an office, but you're my coworker, and here's 3 ways to earn my respect, Curt.
I still need to earn your respect. Okay, that's a good point. So
I'm just kidding. This is 3 ways to earn your coworkers' respect.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a leadership expert that weighed in on this and said, you're going to want to be respected at work. Remember to give other people your respect, resist the temptation to gossip or be negative at work, and exude professionalism. If you're confident, transparent, and authentic, people will respect you for it.
Right.
And so the question is, do your coworkers respect you? And if not, here's a way to earn their respect. And it's according to the author of a book called Mentally Strong Leader.
So this applies to whether like you're the boss or an entry-level employee. So everybody can learn from this, I guess. The 3 categories of things you need to do to gain people's respect at work starts with give. Be generous with your time and knowledge. Now, let me say this. Our old boss, Kent Phillips, who, you worked with for a long, long time. I worked with him for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
He amazed me that he always had available time, with as much as he was doing between being the morning show host and program director, and he was the head of the Tacoma Civic Theater and the Renton Civic Theater. I mean, he was always busy.
And wicked smart and a plethora of knowledge when it came to broadcast. He just had a good gut and
and he always had time. If I wanted to plop in there and chat, so I think that was, And this is so that's one thing. Be generous with your time, and also it gave me a chance to thank Kent Phillips for being so awesome for all those years.
Well, but with the give, I think this is an important part of it, Curt, is not only be generous with your time and knowledge, but praise others' efforts.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one. And take time to offer good feedback and give people your respect. I mentioned that earlier, but give people your respect. So give is number one. Number two is resist. Resist the temptation to gossip about coworkers. Sometimes that's hard to do, but
Yep.
it spreads negativity. And if you get roped into it, you're just clumped with that, that group and that label.
Yeah,
So
and this thing here under resist as well, it was resist also taking credit for stuff even when it's deserved. Try to be modest instead and talk about how it was a group effort.
because typically it is, even if you did the most of the work in a
Majority,
project,
right?
there were still other people that were probably involved, and it's better to celebrate with the team than just yourself.
So number one in being a keys to earning your coworkers' respect was give. Number two was resist. And number three, they're saying exude.
Exude professionalism, which
Yep.
includes not being late to stuff. Be
Guilty.
open, be open, honest, transparent, exude confidence, collaborate, be accountable for your own mistakes, be authentic. When people know they're getting the real you, they respect you for it. It kind of all goes in a circle, right? That respect thing definitely intertwines.
Yeah. And there's a lot of subgroups to this because I mean, it was like, here's three categories, I guess, to
Yeah.
gain respect at work. But there's a lot in there. So all those things are good ideas. And I like that story as well. Maybe not as much as the Sesame Street one, but that's a good one.
Well, nothing's going to beat the Sesame Street one. Come on.
That's pretty solid. Yeah, I have to admit.
What's this whole thing about Daniel Craig?
Well, when I saw this, I was like, I thought that this was old news, but evidently this is from a new interview with Variety. So Daniel Craig, you know him as James Bond, the most recent James Bond. But it was a little while ago that he said he was going to retire from being James Bond. This was after he did No Time to Die in 2021, which was his fifth James Bond film that he did. He said, "Nope, I'm done with that. Right? I'm not going to do any more Bond movies." So apparently now seems he's getting a little fed up about questions surrounding who will take over the role after him.
Oh,
For like years, ever since he announced his retirement, they've been saying, well, who's going to be after you? Who do you think it should be after you? Apparently, he was asked that question in a recent interview with Variety, and his answer was, "I don't care."
that's
Which
what
I think I get to a point too where it's like, listen, you know, I kind of liken it to when, I've had people since I've moved around the country a lot. I wasn't here just in Seattle my entire radio career. I kind of liken it to if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, what did you think about, the person who took over for you after you left Detroit?" It's like, I don't care, I mean, I'm not comparing myself to Daniel Craig. Don't get me wrong. But I would get fatigued of people asking about that. You're like, listen, that's a long time ago and I've moved on. So you move on too, people.
fun fact about Jen Pirak. Ready
What's
for
that?
it? You already know this. I've never seen the James Bond movie.
Well, I don't know that I did know that. You've never seen any James Bond movie.
Not one. So here's a question for you, Curt. Have you seen all of them?
Oh no, but I would say I'm not going to offer anything because there's I know who my favorite Bond is and who my least favorite Bond is.
I think my favorite Bond person without having seen a Bond movie would be Sean Connery.
He kind of embodied the role a lot, for the earlier ones. There's George Lazenby for I think one, and then of course Roger Moore. See, Roger Moore was James Bond to me because that's when I was, in that era of Roger Moore. I was like, oh, that's James Bond. But then you see a few more and see, oh, hey, he's kind of a cheeseball James Bond, right? And I think we had Timothy Dalton for a bit, and obviously we just talked about Daniel Craig. There's one I'm missing, and I know people right now are saying it's this guy. I will say it when I think of it, but I would say that my favorite is also Sean Connery, and that's where you should start your binging of James Bond movies.
I probably won't do that, but thank you.
And then Daniel Craig, I would have to say is second.
Second.
Yeah,
Okay, ready for this?
I think so. Are you ready for this?
Well, I'm waiting for music. So I think here's the thing. We're going to tell you why your brain prefers live music to pre-recorded music, which seems obvious to me that it would prefer that, right?
Right. But this
But
is not an opinion now. There's science behind this.
yeah, there is. There's a neurosurgeon who goes by Dr. Naz on Instagram. He posted a video explaining why. He said,
Mhm.
quote, live music will activate entire brain networks involving experiencing pleasure, processing emotions, and re-triggering memories of the past. The bigger
Right.
the brain experience, especially in the emotional parts of your brain, deep, the more deeply you will be struck or feeling immersed into the music. I love this so much because I love live music, but why is live music so much more of a treat? Unpredictably, quote, the rhythm, intensity, and speed of notes will be significantly different from what you hear on Spotify. And your brain
Right.
loves this because not knowing what is coming next is like a little treat. So go see live
That makes
music.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's uh, also when you see people performing the live versions of the songs that you like, sometimes they put a different twist on it that I think is cool. When you see them in concert, often a lot of people, I just want to hear it the way it is on the radio, and I respect that as well. But it's kind of fun. Like, ooh, now I recognize this song. It didn't start the way I'm used to having it start. So, that makes perfect sense to me. The live music over the
Yeah.
pre-recorded music. Do
This
you
is
have
a
a favorite live album? I'm putting you on the spot.
live album. I mean, I thought you were gonna say live concert. Like for
Okay, how about
me,
a live concert then?
ooh, I mean, probably my all-time favorite was the OG Fleetwood Mac band when
Okay,
when all the originals were back together.
right. And I
That was
think mine would probably
amazing.
be I'm going to have to go back to either Paul McCartney or Pink Floyd when I was just a youngster.
Mm,
But then, guess what else was great? The Eras tour with Taylor Swift. That was an amazing show. I'm
quit
not
rubbing it
embarrassed to
in.
say it.
Quit rubbing it in.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was meant to rub it in there. I didn't mean to do that.
I wanted to see that concert so badly. This is a good little segue to live music because
Mm-hmm.
good news. I mean, and we're bringing this up, Kurt and I, because we love this Broadway show. Love it.
Yes.
And it's Wicked. And
Wicked.
Wicked is coming to the Broadway musical is coming to the Paramount Theater in Seattle today. The run starts today. It goes
Mm-hmm.
through December 1st. And if you haven't seen it, it is worth getting tickets and going to this production.
Hey, let me point out something here, Miss. I didn't go to see Taylor Swift on the Eras tour due to my lack of being on the radio anymore. I had to buy tickets to go see Wicked, and somebody got them for free.
It's because I'm helping them with some PR stuff.
You know people who know people. That's what I need to do. I need to know people who know people who know people. Three levels in.
Here's the thing. I am very fortunate. It was a very last minute thing because I wasn't gonna get to go see it because I really
Right.
like, it's a little bit of an investment to go see a Broadway show. We all know that. It's a little
Absolutely.
bit of an investment to see any live music these days when you're
Right.
going to a bigger production show.
Well, I would say also if you get a chance to see the musical, which we've both seen before. This is not the first time it's come through Seattle.
Yeah.
And then you can go and compare it to the movie Wicked, which opens on November 22nd. So that's a few weeks from now.
Which is also a musical version of it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I
How could it
thought.
not be? It's got so much to do with the music. So again, Paramount Theater, Wicked is opening. If you want to get tickets, I'd say do it now because
They sell
some of the
out.
shows are sold out for sure.
And here's the thing, I've got to say this because I'm a
Please.
huge believer in the arts and what it brings to your life, like just enhancing it. And I will bring my kids, like my girls, even though it might not be in my budget, if a show comes along, I will buy tickets for us to go see that because I just think it's important to expose them to it. So if you have the means to do it, this would be a great show
Yeah,
to
it's
expose
worth
them
it.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough to top. You know who's not in Wicked? Pierce Brosnan, but he was a James Bond.
Okay. All
I
right.
told you I'd think of it. I just took a little while. I just had to.
That was the other one. Duh. Okay, yes, got it.
Yeah, it had to swirl around in the brain for a little while, and then
Pierce
I finally
Brosnan.
came up with it. So there's
Good
your
one.
other James Bond.
Tell me about Goonies.
Okay, Goonies, a favorite movie of many people, and a big part of some people's youths. There is, of course, it was filmed in Oregon, Astoria. Some parts there's a house there. The Goonies house is actually in Astoria, Oregon. It's a popular tourist attraction, and one of its neighbors would like that to end. This is one of the neighbors, Bayman Zakari. He
What?
bought he bought the house 2 years ago. Now, this is not the Goonies house. He bought a house like next door to the Goonies house, right?
Okay.
He does love the movie and he welcomes fellow fans. I'm sorry, that's the guy who bought the Goonies house, that Beeman guy. But there's a
Okay.
neighbor 2 houses up. He put up a sign saying, quote, Goonies not welcome. Yeah. So that prompted the guy that owns the Goonies house to put up his own sign saying, hey, you guys, Goonies are welcome. This is the Goonies house. Goonies are welcome. And a friend of his bought the house in between them, and she put up a sign saying, ignore Karen, who I guess owns the house that says Goonies not welcome. Look at this. It's turning into a big kerfluffle, right?
Yeah, a neighborhood kerfuffle.
Mm-hmm.
Kerfluffle. I can't even say it.
Yeah.
Kerfuffle.
So the owner of the Goonies house, Bayman Zakari, says, why would you want to live in this neighborhood knowing for the last 38 years, one of the greatest iconic movies of all time was filmed in that house, and you
Seriously.
choose to live 2 houses down?
Yeah. Bah
Why
humbug
not move
me,
out, he
no.
puts, which is that's a tall order, but I think that you're going to have a hard time keeping people from coming to the Goonies house and, I don't know, idling their cars out in the street or whatever. But
Okay.
do you want to go see the Goonies house?
I kind of do. Well, first I need to see the movie again and refresh my memory, and then I need to go see the Goonies house because I did not realize that there was a Goonies house in Astoria, Oregon to be seen.
There is. Well, if you do go, make sure you go to the actual Goonies house and not 2 houses down, because that person will not be happy
I'll
and
bring
will
him
be mean to
I'm
you.
gonna bring him some flowers.
Okay.
Kill him with kindness. Okay, with the holidays coming up, and Curt, you're all
Mhm.
decorated, and I see your Christmas tree in the background again. So great.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
I am a big fan of advent calendars. I bought my kids one pretty much every year. We have one of the reusable kind, where you can, it's actually a Disney one. There's the Christmas tree and you put the Disney ornaments on it each day to count down
Okay.
to Christmas. And typically, the traditional ones for kids it features chocolates. Did you have one when you were little, Curt? Like little chocolate ones you open up the door each day and you get a little chocolate treat?
No, I think we had one with the doors, but there was not a treat inside each door. It was just to count down the days.
Okay.
I didn't know that chocolate was an option. If I would known that when I was a kid, I would have registered a complaint.
Right. I
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I need to get you an advent calendar, Curt, so that you have a chocolate treat every day.
Well, I
But
appreciate that.
here's the great thing about advent calendars now that I love so much is there are so many varieties. So maybe it's not chocolate that you want, Curt. Take a listen to some of the options. There's Lego, and Lego has a couple varieties. Those are the ones I would get for my girls when they were littler. There's of course the chocolate of all like qualities of chocolate, right? You can get Godiva or you can
Right.
get run of the mill.
So what you're
Uh,
saying is when you open the daily doors on your advent calendar, this is what's going to be inside as the treat.
yeah, there's ones that
Okay.
are makeup. I bought myself a makeup one last year. Uh, there's fragrance ones, there's jerky, there's ones with no different gnomes in it. There's ornament ones, there's tea ones, coffee, like if you love coffee.
Right.
There's beer ones, cocktails, and I bought this for all of my like my girlfriends that I went on that girls' weekend with not too long ago.
Right.
I bought them all a puzzles one and a couple other
Oh,
friends beyond that too, like this little jigsaw puzzle. So every day you open a little door and there's pieces to a puzzle, right? So you put
right.
together the little puzzle, like little mini, and then all of them end up connecting together. It's
Do you
pretty
think
fun.
everybody, when they opened the puzzle one, was like, oh, I was
No,
expecting some chocolate?
No, I think they were excited about it. Here's my point. Here's something that can create daily joy as we count down to the holidays. So
True.
maybe treat yourself, maybe treat your family members, maybe buy some for your friends. It's a gift that like gives all season long.
True. And in my case, it could keep me to eating just one piece of chocolate a day.
Well, you can't see that's the thing, Curt, that you can only because I don't want you opening all the doors at once because you're hungry for more chocolate.
I would not. No, I would follow the rules. I'm saying it's a good way for me to stay on track.
So is chocolate your choice or would you prefer a beer or a coffee one?
No, I would not prefer a beer or coffee one. I would say, yeah, I mean, just a nice little piece of Godiva chocolate or something in there would be fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Beer.
Well,
Hey,
maybe
sorry.
maybe
I opened the advent calendar door and I know it's 8:30 in the morning, but here's a beer. I don't know. That doesn't sound like a good idea, but I like the idea of the different advent calendars. What would your favorite be?
I really liked the makeup one. That was a fun one. I wear a lot of Bare Minerals, so they had an advent calendar. I
Okay.
did their version of it, and that was pretty fun.
Love it.
I don't know. I don't know. Make
Hey,
up the one I think I might like.
there's a lot of options apparently. Yeah,
Yeah. I like the
absolutely.
idea of trying different perfumes too. There's that.
Perfumes.
Yeah. All right.
This is going to be helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful as we get closer to, well, we're done with Halloween now. So next, of course, the next big holiday coming up.
Well, many people skipped over Halloween and Thanksgiving and just went straight to Christmas. I did not.
Are you talking about moi?
No. No.
This Thanksgiving is coming up. And here are some helpful hints because you're going to be getting together with friends and family, more than likely. And who doesn't have a horror story about the year that that so-and-so said this to so-and-so at the Thanksgiving table? And you know what happened? A kerfluffle again.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Or even worse.
I love it when etiquette experts weigh in on this. So please do tell me all the things, Curt.
Well, when it comes to Thanksgiving get-togethers here, and they had two or three experts, etiquette experts, saying these are things to avoid. They weighed in on conversations you should avoid during Thanksgiving, and also what to say if these topics do come up. And one of these
Politics has
people,
to be at the top of the list.
yes, and you told me because one of the three experts was the Gottsman, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. John Gottman, who is a relationship expert at the University of Washington. Yeah, well known in his field.
Okay.
Well known.
So he was one of the people that that chimed in on this. And yes, you're right. It says the big topic to avoid at Thanksgiving, I have to say maybe anytime, is politics. Particularly, of course, it'll be mere weeks after, a somewhat contentious election just wrapped up. So what they say is, of course, politics tops the list, especially since it's November, but knowing how to gracefully listen and then change the topic if the conversation gets too heated is an art form, saying, if the political conversation or the conversation veers into political territory, the suggestion is steering it towards holiday traditions, upcoming travel, or funny memories from past gatherings would be a good idea.
Okay.
Which would be kind of funny, especially if it was blatant. Somebody's like, hey, how about that election? You go, how about that trip to Hawaii we took? Eh?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Good idea.
So
another topic to leave at the door. Some of these I think apply all the time, but for Thanksgiving is people's weight.
So there's politics and people's weight.
So far, yes. The door, weight and dieting. People don't want to hear about the diet you're on or how you're losing weight, particularly on Thanksgiving, a day that we all indulge. And if someone's tucking, say, into their pumpkin pie, they probably don't want to hear that person next to them is skipping it to avoid the calories. Yeah, right?
I don't want to hear it.
Good for you. It's also important to remember someone's weight loss or gain may be due to stress or an illness or some kind of medical condition. It might be uncomfortable for them to discuss. So that's another biggie. Don't talk about weight. Money conversations, a bad idea. Again, I think that a lot of these are all the time.
What are people going to bring up about money? What?
Well, how about, what are some examples? How much did your new home cost,
Oh, for crying out loud.
Have you gotten the raise? How did you afford that car you just bought or whatever? How much money do you make? I think that's a bad idea.
Gosh.
So here's what they say. The experts say, if you're hit with one of these queries, you can respond with something like, that's a pretty personal question, Aunt Jane. That poor Aunt Jane is used as an example here. That's a pretty personal question, Aunt Jane. I'm going to have to pass on answering how much money I make. I can tell you I'm comfortable and very happy with my job.
That's a good way to answer it.
And hopefully that'll be the end of it, because often you're like, yeah, but seriously, how? So anyway, family planning, another thing they say, don't talk about at the Thanksgiving table, like when you're having children or when you're getting married. Jen, these questions might seem harmless. They can touch on subjects that are sensitive for many.
I'm just wondering.
Well, you're just wondering, hey, are you and Dana going to have a baby? You've been asking me that since I was 14, and now I'm 103. So not going to happen. So anyway, family planning, these topics can sometimes sit very close to home. Guests may feel pressured or judged. So what the experts say is let them bring up the topic and tell you if they want to share such personal details. All right. Real quick, if a sensitive topic comes up for you this year, it can be helpful to know a few polite ways to redirect the conversation. If you're being asked an uncomfortable question, maybe you could say something like, I'd rather not discuss that right now, but Aunt Jane just got back from her trip to France. I want to hear about the trip to France. That's a good way to deflect it. If you're the host of the party, you're going to feel like, you know what? You kind of got to change the topic, right, Jen?
Yeah.
You feel it like if you're the host?
Yeah.
You can share this one. What would you do if you're the host and somebody brings up an uncomfortable topic?
Oh, I definitely, that's what I do. I try to change the topic.
Yeah.
Or I'd be like, time to eat, everyone, or dessert time, everybody else.
It says here you can interject. Let's save that for another time. I'd love to keep things light tonight and hear more about everyone's favorite holiday traditions.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, what do you talk about then, right? What are good topics but travel, like if anybody has travel plans or if they've been on a vacation or.
If they've lost a lot of weight.
No.
I know. I'm just saying.
Okay.
That's not one of them. So maybe that'll help you at Thanksgiving this year. If that's the case, Curt and Jen say you're welcome. Right.
Okay.
Go with this one, Jen.
I saw this on Reddit, and this is so I'm gonna bring this up, but it's also gonna be our Curt and Jen podcast question of the day. And it is, and I love this. What's something that you've seen a lot, but you're still in awe every time you see it? My wife, Dana. Is that what you're gonna say, Curt?
Thank you for that. I wasn't prepared with that, but that's a good answer. Well, what they're talking about in general is, I mean, you can use anything here, but some things that when they first came out, and if you're old enough to know, before there was, microwaves or before there was cell phones, before there was the internet, when they first came out, people, wow, this is unbelievable, But then over time, guess what happens? Like, this is kind of here. I mean, what I use as an example of something I got used to. Our building when we were at the radio station was right across from the Space Needle. And when I first moved to Seattle, it's like, wow, I get to go by the Space Needle every single day and I get to see that out the window.
Okay.
And then after a while, you're like, it's a Space Needle.
I have a great example of something that I see multiple times that I'm always in awe when I see it.
Yeah, mine was bad. Mine was not an example of something you're in awe of every time, but let me hear yours.
Mount Rainier.
Oh, man, that's a perfect one.
Right?
Every single time.
Every single time, I'm like, it's such eye candy for me. I love it.
And it's hard to believe that there are times and places you can't see it because it's so big. But like for me, when you're heading south on I-5, I think just before you get to Northgate, there's a bend, there's a turn, and then all of a sudden,
bam. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That is
there's also a little peak. There's a couple peekaboo places along when you first get on 405 from I-5 up north, like that interchange there.
It's incredible.
Anyway, so we want to know, we have some ideas. Like I'll bring up one more that I didn't used to appreciate, but now I appreciate so much more. And I am in awe of it every time I see it, is the fall foliage.
Oh, wow. The fall foliage is
the changing of the colors is really amazing.
And that's something I'd like to say in defense of some of what people call the flyover states like Wisconsin and Minnesota. Man, when the colors change there, and New England as well. I mean, but here as well. I mean, just we have so many evergreens here that obviously don't change. But yeah, the colors come and go, and you're like, wow, that is pretty incredible. And for me, I don't think you get sunrises and sunsets anywhere else like we get here.
Oh, that's another one I mean, there's so many for me, but yeah, that is definitely, I love me a sunset. And if I'm up early enough, a sunrise. Yes.
Right. When I would see people posting these when I first moved here, the sunset was gorgeous. The sunrise was gorgeous today. And there's purples and reds and pinks and yellows and oranges. And you're like, pretty. And I was like, well, that must be, Photoshopped. And then you look outside going, that's really what it looks like. And it is unbelievable. So your job, should you choose to accept it, your mission, what we want from you is something you've seen a lot, but you're still in awe of every single time you see it.
So go to our Facebook page, Curt and Jen in the Morning. That's where that question will be listed, or you can just comment on the platform that you're on, and we'll try to grab it. But Facebook is the place to go if you can.
Oh, look at this! I just got a text. Something I'm in awe of every time I see is Jen Pirak.
Whatever.
Do you think I made that up?
Yes.
I'll never say. I will never say
everybody.
That. All right, everybody. Yeah.
I hope that I will say we hope that you have a great day. Please try to love your neighbor. And of course, make good choices, find joy, and most importantly, spread kindness.
Thank you.